There is a week coming for Virgo that could quietly change the entire direction of your year. And most of you are not ready for it. Not because you lack the skill, not because you are unprepared, but because you have been overcomplicating everything. You have been stacking plans on top of plans, second-guessing your own instincts, and carrying weight that was never yours to hold in the first place. And this week, the universe is stepping in with a very clear message. Simplify. Strip it down. Get back to the basics of who you are and what you actually want. Because when you do that, when you finally let go of the noise and the clutter and the overthinking, something remarkable happens. You start winning. Not in the loud, dramatic way the world often celebrates, but in the quiet, steady, undeniable way that Virgo was always meant to succeed. The kind of winning where doors open because you stop trying to force them. The kind where your own peace of mind becomes your greatest achievement. This is not a week to hustle harder or push through walls. This is a week to breathe, to choose wisely, and to trust that less really can be more. If you have been feeling stuck or overwhelmed, stay right here. Every single thing I am about to share with you was meant to land in your life at exactly this moment. And by the end, you will understand why simplicity is not weakness. It is your superpower. So settle in, keep an open mind, and let this message do what it was designed to do. Tip 1. The clutter in your mind is louder than any noise around you. And this week you are being asked to finally turn down the volume. Virgo, you have a gift that most people do not fully appreciate, including yourself sometimes. You can see the details. You notice what others miss. You catch the small things, the patterns, the inconsistencies, the subtle shifts that everyone else walks right past. And that gift has served you well in so many areas of your life. But here is the shadow side of that ability. When you turn that sharp eye inward, when you start analyzing your own thoughts with the same intensity you use on everything else, it becomes overwhelming. Your mind becomes a crowded room where every thought is shouting for attention, and you cannot figure out which voice to listen to first. This week, the energy is asking you to step back from that crowded room. Not to abandon your thoughts, not to pretend they do not exist, but to realize that not every thought deserves a response. Not every worry needs to be solved today. Not every possibility needs to be mapped out before you take a single step forward. You have been treating your mind like a machine that must run at full speed all the time. And the truth is, even the most powerful machine needs to rest, needs maintenance, needs moments where it simply powers down and resets. Think about the last time you felt truly at peace. Not happy in the excited, jumping up and down sense, but genuinely at peace. Calm, still, present. Chances are, it was a moment when your mind was not racing. It was a moment when you gave yourself permission to just be, without analyzing, without planning, without fixing anything. That is the state this week is inviting you into. And here is why it matters so much right now. The decisions you are about to face, the opportunities that are lining up for you, they require clarity. Not more information, not more research, not more opinions from other people. Clarity. And clarity does not come from thinking harder. Comes from thinking less. It comes from creating enough space in your mind that the right answer can actually rise to the surface instead of being drowned out by 100 competing thoughts. So how do you do this practically? You start by being honest with yourself about what is actually important right now. Not what could be important, not what might become important someday, but what genuinely matters in this moment. And then you let everything else wait. You give yourself permission to not have all the answers today. You allow some questions to remain open without feeling anxious about it. You trust that your mind, when given room to breathe, will sort things out far more effectively than when you are forcing it to work overtime. This is not laziness. This is not giving up. This is strategic rest. This is the kind of wisdom that comes from understanding that your greatest asset, your mind, needs to be protected and cared for, not driven into the ground. And when you start practicing this, even in small ways, you will notice something remarkable. The anxiety begins to loosen its grip. The confusion starts to clear. And suddenly, the path forward that seemed so complicated just a few days ago, it looks simple. It looks obvious. It looks like it was there all along, just waiting for you to stop overthinking long enough to see it. This week, give your mind the gift of silence. Even if it is just 10 minutes a day where you sit with no agenda, no phone, no list of things to figure out. Let the quiet do its work. You will be amazed at what surfaces when you finally stop stirring the water and let it become still. Tip 2. You have been saying yes to things that drain you. And this week is your turning point for learning the power of a well-placed no. There is a pattern that many Virgos fall into, and it is one that comes from the very best part of who you are. You care. You genuinely, deeply care about the people around you, about doing things right, about being reliable and helpful and present. And because you care so much, you say yes. You say yes when someone asks for your help, even though you are already exhausted. You say yes to commitments that do not light you up, because you do not want to let anyone down. You say yes to carrying other people's burdens because it feels selfish to say no, even when you are barely managing your own. And somewhere along the way, you started believing that your value is measured by how much you give, how much you sacrifice, how available you are to everyone else. But this week, the energy is shifting in a way that is going to challenge that belief directly. Because the truth is, every time you say yes to something that drains you, you are saying no to something that could fill you up. Every time you take on someone else's responsibility at the expense of your own well-being, you are teaching the people around you that your needs do not matter. And that is not generosity. That is self-abandonment dressed up as kindness. Now, I want to be very clear about something. Learning to say no does not mean becoming cold or selfish or uncaring. It does not mean shutting people out or refusing to help anyone ever again. It means becoming intentional about where you spend your energy. It means recognizing that your time, your attention, your emotional capacity, these are not unlimited resources. They are precious, and they deserve to be invested wisely, not scattered in every direction just because someone asked. Think about it this way. If you had a certain amount of money each day, and every morning you gave it all away to whoever asked first, you would have nothing left for the things that truly matter to you. Nothing for your goals, your health, your peace of mind, the people you love most. That is exactly what happens when you say yes to everything. You spend yourself before you ever get to invest in yourself. This week is going to present you with at least one situation, probably more, where you will feel the familiar pull to say yes when everything inside you is whispering no. And when that moment comes, I want you to pause. Do not answer immediately. Give yourself space to check in with your body, your energy, your honest feelings. Ask yourself, does this serve me? Does this align with where I am trying to go? Or am I just saying yes out of habit, out of guilt, out of fear that someone will think less of me if I decline? And if the answer is that it does not serve you, say no. Say it kindly, say it with grace, but say it firmly. You do not need to explain yourself in great detail. You do not need to apologize for having boundaries. A simple, clear no is one of the most powerful things you can offer yourself. Because when you stop leaking energy into things that do not matter, you suddenly have so much more to pour into the things that do. Your projects get your full attention. Your relationships get the best version of you instead of the exhausted, resentful version. Your health improves because you are no longer running on empty. Your creativity returns because your mind is not consumed with obligations you never wanted in the first place. This is the week you start protecting your energy like it is sacred. Because it is. And the people who truly love you, the ones who genuinely have your best interests at heart, they will not just understand your boundaries. They will respect them. They will be grateful that you are finally taking care of yourself the way you have always taken care of them. And anyone who reacts badly to your no, that reaction tells you everything you need to know about whether that person deserves your yes in the first place. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Tip 3. There is a conversation you have been avoiding, and this week the universe is making it impossible to keep running from it. You already know what this is about. The moment I said it, something inside you shifted. A name came to mind. A situation flashed before your eyes. A feeling you have been pushing down started to rise to the surface. You know exactly what conversation I am talking about, and you have had every reason in the world to avoid it. Maybe it feels too risky. Maybe you are afraid of how the other person will react. Maybe you are not even sure what you want to say, just that something needs to be said. Or maybe, and this is the one that gets Virgo more than any other sign, you have been waiting until you can say it perfectly. You have been rehearsing it in your head, trying to find the exact right words, the precise combination of honesty and diplomacy that will get your point across without causing any damage. And because you have not found that perfect script yet, you keep postponing it. But here is what the energy of this week is telling you. Perfection is not required. Honestly, it never was. What is required is courage. What is required is your willingness to show up and be real. Even if your voice shakes, even if the words come out a little jumbled, even if the conversation does not go the way you planned. Because the cost of silence is becoming greater than the cost of speaking up. Every day you avoid this conversation, it takes up more space inside you. It occupies your thoughts when you should be focused on other things. It affects your mood, your sleep, your ability to be fully present in other areas of your life. It creates a distance between you and this other person that grows wider with each passing day. And the irony is, the thing you are trying to protect by staying silent, the relationship, the peace, the stability, that is exactly what your silence is slowly destroying. So this week, take the step. You do not need a perfect script. You do not need to have every possible response prepared. You just need to be honest. Start with how you feel rather than with accusations or criticisms. Use phrases that come from your own experience rather than telling the other person what they did wrong. Share your perspective without demanding that they agree with it. And then, and this is crucial for Virgo, listen. Really listen to what comes back. Not with your analytical mind already preparing a counterargument, but with your heart open to understanding their side of things. You might be surprised by what you hear. You might discover that they have been wanting to have this same conversation but were just as afraid as you. You might find that the gap between you is not nearly as wide as your mind made it seem. Or you might hear something difficult, something that challenges your perspective, or asks you to grow in ways you were not expecting. And that is okay too. Because growth does not come from avoiding hard conversations. It comes from walking into them with an open heart and a willingness to stay present, even when it is uncomfortable. This week, the universe is not asking you to be perfect in your communication. It is asking you to be brave. And bravery for Virgo sometimes looks like admitting that you do not have all the answers, that you are scared, that you need something you have been too proud or too afraid to ask for. That kind of vulnerability is not weakness. It is the foundation of every meaningful connection you will ever have. Do not let another week go by with this conversation living rent-free in your head. Say the thing, take the risk, and trust that whatever comes from it will be better than the weight of carrying it alone any longer. The universe has been preparing both of you for this moment. All you have to do is show up. Tip 4: your body has been sending you signals for weeks now, and this week you are finally going to understand what it has been trying to tell you. Virgo is deeply connected to health, to the physical body, to the rhythms and routines that keep everything functioning at its best. And yet, there is a tendency among Virgos to ignore what their own body is saying, especially when life gets busy, especially when there are other people to take care of, other problems to solve, other fires to put out. You push through the fatigue. You dismiss the aches. You tell yourself you will rest later, you will eat better next week, you will start that exercise routine when things calm down. But things never calm down, do they? There is always something else demanding your attention, always another reason to put yourself last on the list. And your body, patient as it has been, is starting to raise its voice. This week, the energy is amplifying those signals in a way you cannot ignore anymore. That stiffness in your shoulders, that tension in your jaw, that heaviness you feel when you wake up in the morning even after a full night of sleep. These are not random. These are messages. Your body is telling you where you are holding stress, where you are carrying burdens that do not belong to you, where you have been neglecting the basic needs that keep you grounded and strong. And if you keep ignoring those messages, they will only get louder. What starts as a whisper becomes a shout. What starts as mild discomfort becomes something that demands your full attention whether you are ready to give it or not. So why not listen now while the adjustments are still small, while the changes that need to be made are gentle rather than drastic? Start with the most basic question. Are you sleeping enough? Not just lying in bed, but actually sleeping. Resting deeply without your mind racing through tomorrow's to-do list. If the answer is no, that is where you begin. Sleep is not a luxury for Virgo. It is the foundation that everything else is built upon. When you are well rested, your mind is sharper. Your emotions are more stable. Your ability to handle stress increases dramatically. When you are sleep deprived, everything feels harder than it needs to be. Then look at what you are putting into your body, not from a place of judgment or strict dieting, but from a place of genuine curiosity. Are you nourishing yourself or just filling yourself? Are you eating things that give you energy or things that steal it? Are you drinking enough water? Or are you running on caffeine and willpower alone? These are not small questions. These are the foundation of your physical experience on this planet, and they deserve your attention. And beyond sleep and nutrition, look at movement. Your body was designed to move, to stretch, to breathe deeply, to feel the strength in your muscles and the flexibility in your joints. If you have been sedentary, if the most exercise you get is walking from one room to another, your body is craving something more. It does not have to be intense. A walk in the morning, some gentle stretching before bed, a few minutes of movement that makes you feel alive rather than exhausted. That is enough to start shifting the energy. This week is also asking you to pay attention to the emotional component of your physical health. Where in your body do you feel your emotions? When you are anxious, does your stomach tighten? When you are sad, does your chest feel heavy? When you are angry, do your hands clench? Your body and your emotions are not separate systems. They are deeply intertwined, and healing one often means addressing the other. So if there is an emotion you have been suppressing, a grief you have not processed, a frustration you have been swallowing instead of expressing, consider that it might be showing up as a physical symptom. Consider that the headache, the back pain, the digestive issues might be your body's way of saying what your mouth has been unable to say. This week, treat your body like the sacred instrument it is. Not with perfection, not with rigid rules, but with kindness, with attention, with the same care you so freely give to everyone else. You deserve that care. Your body has been carrying you through everything. The least you can do is listen when it speaks. Tip 5. The financial situation that has been weighing on you is not as complicated as your mind has made it, and this week brings the clarity to prove it. Money is one of those topics that Virgo tends to approach with a mix of practicality and anxiety. On one hand, you are naturally good with details, with numbers, with planning and organizing. You can create a budget, track expenses, and manage resources with a precision that many other signs simply cannot match. But on the other hand, there is a deep-seated worry that lives underneath all that competence. A worry that it will not be enough. A worry that something unexpected will come along and wipe out everything you have carefully built. A worry that no matter how much you save, how carefully you plan, security will always be just slightly out of reach. And that worry, that constant undercurrent of financial anxiety, has been louder than usual lately. Maybe there is a specific expense looming on the horizon. Maybe your income has been inconsistent. Maybe you have been comparing your situation to others and feeling like you are falling behind. Whatever the specifics, the feeling is the same. A tightness in your chest when you think about money, a restlessness that keeps you up at night running numbers in your head, a sense that you need to do more, earn more, save more just to feel okay. But this week, a shift is happening. The fog that has been surrounding your financial picture is starting to lift, and what you are going to see is not the disaster your anxiety has been projecting. What you are going to see is that you are in a better position than you thought. Not perfect, maybe not where you ultimately want to be, but far more stable and capable than your worry has allowed you to believe. The key this week is simplification. You have been overcomplicating your financial life, just like you have been overcomplicating everything else. You have been juggling too many accounts, too many strategies, too many conflicting pieces of advice from too many sources. And all that complexity has created confusion, which has fueled more anxiety, which has led to either paralysis or impulsive decisions, neither of which serves you well. So strip it back. What are the essentials? What are the non-negotiables? What absolutely must be handled this week, this month? Focus there first. Get crystal clear on those basics, and let everything else wait. You do not need a complicated investment strategy right now. You do not need to figure out every aspect of your financial future in the next 7 days. You need to know where you stand today, and you need a simple, clear plan for the immediate road ahead. One thing that will help enormously is getting everything out of your head and onto paper, or a screen, whatever works for you. But externalize it. When your finances live only in your thoughts, they become tangled with your emotions, magnified by your fears, distorted by your anxiety. When you write them down, when you see the actual numbers in front of you, something interesting happens. They become manageable. They become problems you can solve rather than monsters you cannot escape. You might also find this week that help is available in ways you did not expect. A resource you overlooked, a benefit you did not know you qualified for, a conversation with someone who has navigated a similar situation and can offer guidance that actually applies to your life. Stay open to these possibilities. Your independence is admirable, but it can also be a barrier when what you really need is perspective from someone who has been where you are. And finally, check your relationship with money itself. Do you see it as a tool or as a measure of your worth? Do you feel grateful for what you have or only anxious about what you lack? Do you believe that more is possible for you? Or have you quietly accepted a ceiling that does not actually exist? These are not just philosophical questions. The way you think about money directly shapes the way money shows up in your life. And this week, shifting that relationship, even slightly, can open doors you did not know were there. You are more resourceful than you give yourself credit for. This week is going to remind you of that. Tip 6. A relationship that has been shifting underneath the surface is about to reveal its true nature, and you need to be ready for what comes next. Something has been changing in one of your closest relationships, and you have felt it even if you could not name it. Maybe the conversations have become shorter, more surface level, less honest than they used to be. Maybe there is a distance that was not there before, a tension that neither of you is addressing directly. Maybe the dynamic has shifted in a way that leaves you feeling uncertain about where you stand, about what this person really thinks of you, about whether the connection is growing or fading. You have noticed. You always notice. That is the blessing and the burden of being Virgo. You pick up on the subtle changes, the slight shifts in tone, the difference between someone who is present with you and someone who is just going through the motions. And you have been analyzing it, turning it over in your mind, trying to figure out what went wrong, what you might have done differently, what the other person is thinking or feeling behind the words they are or are not saying. But this week, the guessing game ends. Something is going to surface that brings clarity to this situation, and I need you to be prepared for the possibility that what you discover might not match the story you have been telling yourself. It might be better than you expected. The distance you were interpreting as disinterest might actually be their own struggle, their own fear, their own inability to express what they are feeling. You might learn that they have been just as worried about losing you as you have been about losing them. On the other hand, you might discover that this relationship has run its course, that the connection you have been trying to maintain has shifted into something that no longer serves either of you, and that holding on is causing more harm than letting go would. And as painful as that realization might be, it is also liberating, because you deserve relationships that are mutual, that are nourishing, that bring out the best in you, rather than leaving you constantly questioning your value. Whatever this week reveals, your job is to respond with honesty and self-respect. If the relationship is worth fighting for, fight for it with openness and vulnerability, rather than with control or criticism. If it is time to release it with gratitude for what it was rather than bitterness for what it became. And in either case, do not lose yourself in the process. Virgo has a tendency to shapeshift in relationships, to become what the other person needs at the expense of who they actually are. This week is calling you back to yourself, back to your own needs, your own standards, your own non-negotiables. You can love someone deeply and still recognize that the relationship is not healthy. You can care about someone immensely and still choose to walk away if staying means abandoning yourself. These are not contradictions. These are signs of maturity, of self-awareness, of the kind of emotional strength that Virgo possesses in abundance when you stop doubting it. Pay attention this week to how you feel in the presence of the people you are closest to. Not how you think you should feel, but how you actually feel. Do you feel energized or drained? Do you feel safe or guarded? Do you feel like you can be your full, authentic self? Or are you constantly editing and filtering to avoid conflict? Those feelings are data. They are telling you something important about the health of your connections, and this week, that data is going to become impossible to ignore. Trust what your body and your emotions are telling you, even if your mind tries to rationalize it away. The truth of a relationship lives in how it makes you feel, not in how it looks from the outside. And this week, you are being asked to honor that truth, whatever it turns out to be. Tip 7. An opportunity is approaching that looks smaller than it actually is, and your willingness to take it seriously could change everything. Here is something about Virgo that not many people talk about. You have a tendency to overlook opportunities that do not arrive in the package you were expecting. You are so good at planning, at envisioning how things should unfold, that when something shows up in a different form at a different time through a different door, you almost dismiss it. You look at it and think, that is not what I was waiting for. That is too small, too simple, too unexpected to be the thing that changes my trajectory. And so you pass it by. You keep waiting for the grand entrance, the obvious sign. the opportunity that announces itself with trumpets and fanfare. But that is rarely how the best opportunities in life arrive. They come quietly. They come disguised as small favors, casual conversations, minor adjustments that seem insignificant in the moment, but turn out to be the pivot point for everything that follows. This week, something like that is going to cross your path. It might be a suggestion from someone you would not normally listen to. It might be a chance to take on a small project or task that seems beneath your abilities. It might be an invitation to something you would usually decline because it does not fit your plan or your schedule, or your idea of how things should go. And if you approach it with your usual analytical skepticism, you will miss it entirely. But if you approach it with curiosity, with openness, with the willingness to explore something without needing to see the full picture first, it could be the beginning of something remarkable. The universe does not always show you the whole staircase. Sometimes it just shows you the next step and asks you to trust that the rest will appear as you climb. And for Virgo, that is one of the hardest things to do. You want the whole plan. You want to see the beginning, the middle, and the end before you commit to the first step. You want guarantees, or at least a high probability of success, before you invest your time and energy. But life does not work that way, and the most transformative moments in your past probably came from situations where you took a chance on something uncertain, and it turned out better than you could have imagined. Think back. Think about the decisions that shaped your life most profoundly. How many of them were carefully planned from start to finish? And how many of them began as a small, unexpected moment that you almost missed? Chances are, it is the latter. The best things in your life started as surprises. And this week, another surprise is on its way. Your job is to remain open enough to recognize it. Pay attention to the conversations that seem random, the ideas that pop into your head at odd moments, the coincidences that feel a little too coincidental to be purely accidental. The universe communicates through these small, seemingly insignificant moments, and Virgo, with your attention to detail, is perfectly equipped to pick up on them. If you are willing to look beyond your expectations. This does not mean saying yes to everything. It means approaching each possibility with genuine consideration rather than immediate dismissal. It means asking yourself, what if this is it? What if this small, unassuming thing is the seed of something I have been waiting for? And then giving it enough attention to find out. You do not have to commit fully right away. You just have to be willing to explore. Take the meeting. Accept the invitation. Follow the thread of that unexpected idea and see where it leads. The worst that can happen is that it goes nowhere and you lose a little time. But the best that can happen, the best could redirect the entire trajectory of your next chapter. And that is worth staying open for. Tip 8. The creative energy building inside you this week is not random. And if you channel it properly, it could produce something you have been trying to create for a very long time. There is a stirring inside you that has been growing for days now. Maybe you have felt it as restlessness, as a vague sense that you want to make something, build something, express something that has been sitting inside you without an outlet. Maybe it has shown up as frustration, as the feeling that your daily routine is too small for what you are carrying, that the tasks and responsibilities filling your hours are not touching the deeper part of you that is hungry for something more meaningful. That stirring is not random. It is creative energy, and it has been building to a critical mass this week. Virgo is not always recognized as a creative sign, but that is a misunderstanding of what creativity actually is. Creativity is not limited to painting or writing or music, though it certainly includes those things. Creativity is the ability to take raw material, whether it is an idea, a problem, a situation, a set of resources, and transform it into something new. And Virgo does this constantly. You do it when you organize a space and make it functional and beautiful. You do it when you find an elegant solution to a complicated problem. You do it when you cook a meal, plan an event, or figure out how to make something work that everyone else said was impossible. This week, that creative energy is amplified. The universe is pouring fuel onto the fire of your imagination, and what you do with it matters. Because this is not just about making something pretty or passing the time with a hobby. This is about expression. This is about taking something that lives inside you, something personal, something true, something that has been waiting patiently for you to give it form, and finally bringing it into the world. Maybe it is that project you have been thinking about for months or years, the one you keep starting in your head but never quite beginning in reality. The book, the business idea, the garden, the redesign of your living space, the plan for your next chapter. Whatever it is, this week the conditions are right for you to take the first real step. Not the planning step, not the researching step, not the thinking about it step. The doing step. The messy, imperfect, probably not going to get it right on the first try step that every creative endeavor requires. And here is where Virgo needs to hear something important. It does not have to be perfect to be valuable. Your desire for perfection, while it can produce extraordinary results, can also become the enemy of progress. You wait until conditions are ideal, until you have all the skills you think you need, until you feel ready. But creative expression does not wait for readiness. It responds to willingness. It asks you to begin before you feel prepared, and to trust that the act of creating will teach you what you need to know along the way. Some of the most beautiful, meaningful things ever made were born from imperfect beginnings. They were rough drafts, first attempts, experiments that their creators were not sure would work. But they started. They took the raw material of their vision and began shaping it, knowing it would require revision, knowing it would not match the picture in their head, knowing that the gap between what they imagined and what they could actually produce was just a natural part of the process. This week, close that gap by beginning. Do not wait for inspiration to strike like lightning. Sit down and start. Pick up the pen, open the file, clear the table, set up the space, and begin. The inspiration will come through the doing, not before it. Your hands will know what to do if you stop letting your mind convince you that you are not ready. And as you create, notice how it changes your energy. Notice how the restlessness begins to settle, how the frustration transforms into focus, how the vague hunger for something more becomes specific and directed and alive. This is what happens when creative energy finds its outlet. It stops being a source of agitation and becomes a source of power. You have been carrying this inside you for too long. This week, let it out. Give it form. Give it space. Give it your attention and your care. And watch what happens when Virgo's precision meets genuine creative passion. The result could be something you did not know you were capable of. And it starts right now. Some people watch. Others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting. It's about moving. Tip 9. The habit you have been trying to build or break is not about willpower. And this week you are going to discover the real key to lasting change. You have tried before. Of course you have. Virgo is nothing if not disciplined, determined, committed to self-improvement in all its forms. You have set the goal, made the plan, followed through for a few days or even a few weeks, and then it fell apart. Maybe gradually, maybe all at once, but at some point the new habit slipped and the old pattern returned, and you were left feeling frustrated with yourself, wondering why you cannot seem to stick with the changes you know would make your life better. And the conclusion you have probably reached, because this is what most people conclude, is that you need more willpower, more discipline, more ability to push through resistance and force yourself to do the thing even when you do not want to. But here is what this week is going to show you. Willpower was never the problem. Willpower is a limited resource. It runs out. It gets depleted by stress, by decision fatigue, by the simple demands of getting through a day. Relying on willpower to sustain a habit is like relying on sprinting to run a marathon. It might work for a short burst, but it is not a sustainable strategy for the long distance ahead. The real key to lasting change, the one that most people overlook, is environment. Your environment, both physical and emotional, either supports the change you want to make or works against it. And if your environment is working against you, no amount of willpower in the world will overcome that resistance indefinitely. Think about the habit you have been struggling with. Now think about the environment surrounding that habit. If you are trying to eat better, what is in your kitchen? If you are trying to spend less time on your phone, where is your phone when you go to bed? If you are trying to exercise more, how easy have you made it to start? If you are trying to worry less, who are you spending your time with? And do they calm your anxiety or feed it? These are not trivial questions. These are the invisible forces that shape your behavior far more powerfully than your conscious intentions ever could. And this week, you have the insight and the energy to redesign your environment in a way that makes the desired habit nearly automatic and the unwanted habit significantly harder to maintain. This is not about grand gestures or dramatic overhauls. It is about small strategic changes that remove friction from the behaviors you want and add friction to the behaviors you do not. Move the fruit to the counter and the snacks to a high shelf. Put your walking shoes by the door. Charge your phone in another room. Unsubscribe from the emails that trigger impulse spending. These tiny adjustments sound almost too simple to matter, but their cumulative effect is enormous. Because each one is a decision you make once that then works in your favor automatically day after day, without requiring any willpower at all. The other piece of this puzzle, and it is one that Virgo especially needs to hear, is self-compassion. You have been so hard on yourself every time you slipped, every time you missed a day, every time you returned to the old pattern. And that harshness, that self-criticism does not motivate you. It demoralizes you. It makes you feel like change is impossible, like you are fundamentally flawed, like there is something wrong with you for not being able to do what seems so simple on paper. But nothing is wrong with you. You are human. Humans do not change in straight lines. They stumble, they slip, they take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And that is not failure. That is the natural rhythm of growth. This week, when you inevitably face a moment of temptation or struggle with your new habit, practice talking to yourself the way you would talk to a dear friend in the same situation. With kindness, with encouragement, with the understanding that setbacks are part of the process, not evidence of your inadequacy. That shift in inner dialogue from critic to coach is more powerful than any amount of willpower you could muster. Because when you feel supported, even by yourself, you keep going. When you feel condemned, you give up. Choose support. Choose patience. Choose the kind of gentle persistence that Virgo is truly built for when you stop confusing discipline with punishment. Tip 10. The version of yourself you keep imagining is not some distant future fantasy. And this week you are closer to becoming that person than you have ever been. Close your eyes for just a moment and think about the person you are becoming. Not the person the world tells you to be. Not the version your family expects. Not the image you project to keep everyone comfortable. The real one. The version of you that lives in your quietest, most honest moments. The one who shows up in your daydreams when you allow yourself to want something bigger than what you currently have. That version of you. They are calm. They are confident. They have a clarity about them that comes not from having all the answers but from trusting themselves enough to figure things out as they go. They set boundaries without guilt. They pursue what matters to them without apology. They have energy because they have stopped wasting it on things and people that do not deserve it. They are healthy, not in a rigid or obsessive way, but in the way that comes from genuinely caring for the body and mind they live in. They are present, fully engaged with the life they are living rather than constantly anxious about the life they think they should be living. That person is not a fantasy. That person is you, with a few adjustments, a few shifts in habit, in perspective, in the way you treat yourself and the choices you make each day. And here is what this week is showing you. The gap between who you are right now and who that person is much smaller than you think. You have been looking at it as this vast canyon that would take years of work and transformation to cross. But the truth is, most of the distance has already been covered. You have already done the hard work of becoming aware. You know your patterns. You understand your tendencies. You can see where you hold yourself back and why. That awareness is more than half the battle, and you have already won it. What remains is the doing, the implementation, the daily moment-by-moment choice to act like the person you are becoming rather than the person you have been. And this week, the energy supports exactly that kind of shift. It is as if the universe is saying, you have prepared long enough. You have analyzed long enough. You have planned and researched and thought about it long enough. Now it is time to live it. Start small. You do not need to transform overnight. But start. Choose one thing today that the future version of you would do, and do it. Wake up at the time they would wake up. Eat the meal they would eat. Have the conversation they would have. Make the decision they would make. And then tomorrow do it again. And the day after that. Because that is all becoming really is. It is a series of small, consistent choices that gradually close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. It is not dramatic. It is not exciting in the way movies and stories make transformation seem. It is quiet. It is daily. It is showing up for yourself in ways that no one else sees or applauds, but that you feel in the deepening of your own self-trust. And Virgo, your ability to show up consistently, to attend to the details, to do the unglamorous work of daily self-improvement, that is your greatest strength. That is the quality that is going to carry you across the finish line, while others are still waiting for a dramatic catalyst to get them started. You do not need a dramatic catalyst. You just need this week. You just need the willingness to begin. The person you keep imagining is already inside you. They have been waiting for you to stop postponing them, stop telling them they are not ready, stop insisting that conditions need to be perfect before they can emerge. Conditions will never be perfect, but you are ready. You have been ready for longer than you realize. And this week, the universe is confirming what your deepest self has always known. You are capable of becoming everything you have imagined, and the time to start is not someday. It is now. Everything I have shared with you today points to one simple truth, Virgo. You have been making life harder than it needs to be. Not because you are foolish, not because you lack intelligence, but because your incredible mind, that detailed, thorough, analytical mind of yours, sometimes works against you by turning simple things into complicated ones, by seeing problems where there are only decisions, by creating mazes where there are only paths. And this week, the universe is handing you a new lens to look through, one that filters out the noise and shows you only what matters, one that reveals the elegant simplicity hiding underneath all the complexity you have built around your life. This is your invitation to trust yourself more and second-guess yourself less, to act on your instincts instead of analyzing them into oblivion, to choose the simple path, the direct route, the honest answer, even when part of you wants to make it more complicated because complicated feels safer, feels more thorough, feels more like the effort you think is required. But effort without direction is just exhaustion. Activity without purpose is just busyness. And you were not put here to be busy. You were put here to be effective, to create real meaningful change in your own life, and in the lives of the people fortunate enough to know you. And effectiveness, true effectiveness, comes from simplicity, from knowing what matters and letting everything else go, from saying what needs to be said without wrapping it in layers of qualification, from doing what needs to be done without waiting for permission or perfection, from being who you truly are without the armor of overthinking. This week is going to test you. It is going to present situations that tempt you to overcomplicate, to overanalyze, to retreat into the familiar comfort of doing more research, getting more opinions, waiting just a little longer. And in those moments, I want you to remember what you heard today. Simplify. Trust yourself. Take the step. Because the version of Virgo that the world needs right now is not the one who has every answer. It is the one who has the courage to move forward without them. It is the one who chooses action over analysis, presence over perfection, trust over fear. That version of you is not something you need to create from scratch. It is something you need to allow. It has been inside you all along, waiting for the permission you keep withholding. This week, give that permission. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now, because the energy is already in motion, the shifts are already happening, and the only thing standing between you and the breakthrough you have been waiting for is the decision to keep it simple and move. Everything you need is already within you. This week is just the reminder, and I truly believe with everything in me that you are about to surprise yourself in the most beautiful way. Let this be the week you look back on as the turning point. Let this be the week you stopped waiting and started living. You have two options after this video. Close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.